is Charnel Lane.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Chanel Lane. I will be speaking on the budget for the Plow the Sidewalks program. I believe we, as all citizens of this city, will benefit from the Plow the Sidewalk program. I, as a wheelchair user, think it's imperative that we have the sidewalks clean during the winter months to get around. This goes for disabled people, mobile, blind, hearing disabled people, seniors. They can't do what they used to do, so they're not able to plow their sidewalks, and they may not have anyone to do it for them, and because of their limited budgets, may not also be able to pay someone to do it for them. Not to mention, if they slip and fall on the ice, it could be very dangerous for not only them, but their families, and an increase in their financial responsibility. Parents of children who have to walk to school every day or even just want to play have the risk of falling or not being able to get around properly because of the snow. Property owners aren't going to look out for the citizens by themselves. We all have fines in order, but they don't pay the fines. And we also have to remember about vacant lots and buildings. The city's responsibilities to care for its citizens during bad and dangerous weather do not end with the streets. The city can find the money for this. Maybe if the city spent more money on the safety of all of its residents, than the upkeep of flowers, more specifically in the downtown area, I believe you all could make it happen. Put yourselves in the shoes of the resident I mentioned. Put your family members in the shoes of the resident I mentioned. Make sure that you all not only look in your hearts, but look in your duties and responsibilities as the city council of the city of Chicago. Think about how you all are blessed to be able to get where you all were today, and that you all have the tools and the mean how and the transportation ability to do so. Consider those same issues for the people of Chicago who walk these sidewalks every day, for those people who may have been trying to get to buses or trains who can't even make it there because of the snow, and then they can't get to work, and then they can't get to school, which prevents them from being productive members of this society. Please look into your hearts, your head, and your know-how to please come up with money for the budget of the Plow the Sidewalk program. We appreciate you, your service, and your work, and I know you will do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Our next speaker is Danielle Carter.
So Brandon, you and all these Democratic mayors out here and governors, y'all talking about crashing out for these illegals, right? You all stood up there and said you will not allow Trump to come in here and get these illegals. Yeah, you can smile. We're in $1 billion deficit. And you spent half of our money, half of that on illegals. You campaigned and doubled down that you would not raise property taxes. I ain't gonna do that. You campaigned, went around doing that. And here we are right now. You wanted to raise our taxes $300 million. They shut it down. Now we back here for $150 million. Okay. See, this is what we asking now. Since you want to crash out, some of y'all say y'all willing to go to jail for it. Trump, Tom Homan, make an example out this Negro right here first. Please come here first, because you know what? We're going to help you. We want to forensic.
Ma'am, I would ask that you keep your, hold on a second, stop her time. Just a second. Stop her time. Ma'am, I would ask that you, if you want to continue speaking, you have to make sure that your language is appropriate, okay? All right.
We got Alex.
Okay, you can begin her time again.
You're going to spend our tax dollars To go, Michael Rodriguez, you said to take Trump to court to protect these illegals. You said you're going to spend our tax dollars to take Trump to court to protect these illegals if they try to come in your district. And then you said all of y'all in cahoots with each other to do it. Okay, so now we about to make y'all famous. We're going to let all y'all constituents know who y'all ratting for, that y'all wouldn't spend our tax dollars to protect illegals and to get them legal services. So that's what we're doing. That's cool because we about to make all of y'all aldermen famous. Y'all think this is how it's going to rat? I think not. Flip Chicago red. We not playing.
Thank you very much for your comments. Our next speaker is...
Excuse me, just a second. If you continue to shout, I will clear the chamber. That is your only warning. Okay, next person, please.
Our next speaker is Jessica Jackson.
So, Mayor Brandon Johnson, I was always taught that a man's word is his bond. I was always told that if you can't take a person at their word, you can't take them at nothing, right? So, because I was raised that way, I stand by my word. And it's 2 words I gave you. The first word was, we coming for them seats. And we are. And we are. The second word I gave is that we was going to make y'all famous. And we going to make y'all famous, starting with Famous Friday. Every Friday at 6 o'clock, we're going to be on Zoe's YouTube. Tune in, Zoe Lee, and we're going to get you one at a time. Starting with, we're going to pull your name out of a hat. And we're going to see who is the lucky person who gets to go first. Let's see who's down here. Drum roll, please.
Let's go. We're going to make famous.
This week, Friday at 6 o'clock, featured on the Zoe Lee YouTube is alderperson, because I'm not getting caught up in pronouns and junk. Alderperson Jesse Fuentes.
Yes.
Yay! She's not here, but her people are. Y'all get the word to her. Make sure y'all tune in so you'll know what to expect when it's your turn. For everybody who sat here and ain't helping me get my property, you're going to sit up here and watch them take my stuff from me. For every black person I know that get their property taken, that's a seat that's going. You can believe that. You can believe that. I hate that your name wasn't pulled first. That Mary Richardson Laurie, we're going to get to her too. We're going to get to them commissioners. We get to everybody who sat back and watching me be stressed out about my stuff. Tell Jesse Fuentes, tune in. We about to make her famous. Boom.
Thank you very much for your comments. Our next speaker is Howard.
No, he ain't gonna do it. He don't help black people.
It's all right. Good morning,
Morning.
Mayor Johnson,
Morning.
City Councils, and the citizens of Chicago. To the taxpayers, residents, and special interest group, and all who want to see Chicago thrive, and all who want to see property taxes to go down or not pay them, or all who wants to see this city have a better quality of life, can you please stand with me and support me with this? Thank you for your dedication to and the future of the city. To the mayor and city council, if the citizens of Chicago were to come together and support your 2025 budget and also contribute $4.5 billion to the city and $4.5 billion to the county, would you agree to this initiative? I know you can't answer questions. This proposal represents a unified effort by the citizens to address budget shortfall and support the city development. Are you open to accepting and working with the people on such an initiative called the People Fund? And to the citizens, to my fellow citizens in the audience, I now turn to you. You are the backbone of the city and your voice matters. You reside in one of the 50 wards of Chicago and you have entrusted these elected officials to represent your interests. I have a question for you. If the mayor of Chicago and the council were to work with the county president, Tony Prickwinkle, to end the annual tax and scavenger sale, approve the People Fund, which is a transactional tax, waive property taxes, reimburse homes that were taken from the tax sale, would you support the budget proposal in return for these changes? Okay. If you are willing to consider this, I ask you to join me in the hallway after this by the elevators, and I will finish telling you about the People Fund. There I will explain this plan in detail and how it would transform our city and county. Now, Mayor Johnson, you do have this proposal. I don't know if you got it yet. You probably haven't. That's fine. Check with Ms. Kennedy. But this proposal is a great proposal, and it will bring and help the city, and it definitely will help the people from losing their home, because without their homes, we do not exist, and the city don't exist. And another thing, Alderman, you guys are elected by us. We are the people. We down here, we want you to represent us. I hope that you guys have our interest. So, again, after everything is over with, come in the hallway, and I'm going to explain what we call the People Fund. It's the coldest economic initiative ever. When I created my directors, I'm like an economist now. But anyway, thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Our next speaker is Tiara Conway.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Tiara Conway. I'm here to speak about actually police torture, or as y'all say, prosecutorial misconduct. Yet again, this is another budget crisis. We demand no cuts and transparency, no cuts. We demand no cuts on accountability and transparencies, but instead cut the vacant positions. We should not be funding any criminals. Mayor Brandon Johnson, I need you to look into this case. Ramon Banks has been held against his will for over 2 years at the Cook County Jail. We have Officer Kevin Korn and Miguel Jackson, who intentionally made up false allegations against him. We have Farrah Bryce, the Assistant State's Attorney, who approved it. They lied and stated Mr. Banks made fatal movement when they approached the car. The body cam clearly shows that Mr. Banks was instructed to raise down the window. He's the passenger. Why would he turn towards his left if the window is to his right? They also lied and stated Miguel Anderson, he's the driver officer, said that he seen a weapon in plain view directly behind the passenger seat. How could you see that and you're the driver officer? We need help with this case. I understand to Terry frisk someone, you have to have a reasonable of suspicion that a crime is at foot or someone is armed and danger. The officer must be able to articulate specific facts which led them to suspect a crime is at foot or someone is armed and dangerous. These policemen that you guys is putting out here, they not upholding the law. They actually violate them. We need these people to be held accountable, because lack of accountability can create a toxic environment like what we're experiencing now. We have so much going on in this city where it's a lot of innocent people which pled guilty because they fighting against all you guys. This is wrong. I really need you to look into this case. His next court date is December 18th. We're demanding this case to be thrown out. You have lack of probable cause. They violated his rights. You have prosecutorial misconduct, and they have insufficient evidence. We have on body cam the officer telling me that he had to put something in my car. We don't do that here. I asked him, what is there you have to put in my car? He tell me I'm not under arrest. That he
Thank you very much for your comments. However, your time has expired. Our next speaker this morning is Miss Lawrence.
Good morning, all in the city council that came today, and for those who didn't come today, that usually block up this room. Yes. Let's talk about vows when you all are getting up there doing those prayers. Let's talk from a Christian point of view. Numbers 32, Ecclesiastes 5:5. James 5:12, Matthew 5:33, and 5:37. You know what those are, all are, Brandon Johnson? They're called vows that you make before God. You get on national TV and make these statements that raising property taxes is not one of the things that you can do because it's the lazy way of doing things. But are you now lazy? Are you now lazy? It's the question, because you're not holding to any of these. And as we also listened to you, or basically watched you while William J. Kelly stumbled and pummeled you in a press conference, and you standing there trembling at all the questions that he asked from a citizen's perspective. Now let's get down to Tom Homan and 8 U.S.C. 1324. Different editions of 1994, 2020, 2021, and 2022 about you harvesting aliens. And you so strong about protecting those aliens, but you won't do nothing for the U.S. citizens. We are the ones who pay your salaries. Salaries! Let me accentuate on that. But yet, you want to overlook us like we don't exist. Well, you're not going to exist for the next election, because there's a 10-year prison sentence when you want to stand up here for those illegals. See, when I come, I told you I'm bringing the facts. And on the back of my shirt, I'm going to let you read it before I walk away, to let you know that I'm not about your games, your jokes, and your prizes. Because when you ask silly questions, you're going to get silly answers. You know, you should know that statement, right? Well, you haven't answered the question yet. William J. Kelly came to you with plenty of them. And what happened with that? Only thing you could talk about is your wife, saying her first name. Who cares? I don't. Because number one, I never voted for you. Number two, Lori Lightfoot either. Because I have not been a Democrat for nearly 2 decades. So therefore, you wouldn't have been my choice. And you even let Vallis show your evil in those debates. So here's the message for you. No, not today.
Thank you very much for your comments. Our next speaker is George Blakemore.
Brandon Johnson didn't bring this doo-doo here. It's been here. Old Man Daley, Harold Washington, Richard Daley, Lady Lightfoot. This man did not bring this doo-doo in this room. It's been here. And you've been voting for this doo-doo too. Well, maybe some of you have, and maybe I was the one too. I was under the impression that I could vote for a candidate and I could vote somebody in. You can't vote nobody in. The way this is set up is a group of people slate who they want, and then you vote for those they slate. This is all rigged. They're all Democrats. All of, and it's been this way. So some of y'all get up here and spit in this mic and holler, it's been this way. This is nothing new under the sun. So the Alton got a raise, and the mayor got a raise. So the teachers say they want a raise, and the farmers want a raise. Everybody wants something. What do you want? I want this chamber to be diverse, have many different political parties and different viewpoints. It's all the same, 69 each other. All of them, the black ones, the white ones, the Hispanic, all are Democrats. Now, how are you going to get rid of all of them? All of them, and make it happen, make it work. I don't think you're going to do it just holler and go red. I think you're going to have to have some strategic aims to clean this doo-doo up. This is old doo-doo. This doo-doo go back a long time. And you don't smell it now because it's dry, but you can see the results of it. You can, all of them. So the press, all of them, they all in this together. This is not new. So you holler, go red, no, go blue, go green. It needs to have a change here. All of them are the same. Every one of these men and women are the same point. All of them. So what can you
Stay in the microphone, Mr. Blakemore. Stay in the microphone.
A revolution to change this system and clean it up and have a real democratic system, a democracy where you have different points of views. Everybody here is the same doo-doo. All of them. Have you ever seen a bad
Thank you very much for your comments. However, your time has expired. Our next speaker this morning is Melvin Bailey.
How you doing, Mayor and City Council?
Good morning.
It's been a long time since I've been coming down here. But, again, I'm coming down here, Mayor, and I want you to hear this. We want to enforce TBI, Trouble Building Initiative. There's over 15,000 vacant and abandoned buildings surrounded around the city of Chicago, and they trapped in our community. If I started a petition. I'm getting 26 signatures from aldermen, so we can I talked to several aldermen individual. As you can see, I started, they already signed. So what we want to do is take them vacant and abandoned buildings, rehab them, keep our young men in our community. Because if we keep them in the community, now we can tell them to put down their the gun. Now they don't have to take that car running into downtown, and now they don't have to kill another police officer. Is we talking about reducing all crime? No, but we're going to reduce some of the crime. We'll reduce some of the crimes with these vacant and abandoned buildings in our community. And just like Alderman Lopez said, maybe we need to have a committee meeting on it. We need to call Corporation Council. I already talked to Judge Murray. I already talked to Judy Freeland. Judge Murray is the housing court. Judy Freeland is the commissioner. She said, man, we got a bunch of them. But Corp Council are holding the properties hostage like it's their property. But this is our community. And I'm tired of seeing our young kids coming down every time you look at the news. Look, we just had a police officer killed in Oak Park, police officer killed in Chicago. Come on now, all you smart people down here. All the degrees you guys have, you mean to tell me we can't take a simple problem? Now, here's a vacant and abandoned list that they sent me. Here's some agreed order demos. They've been on the agreed order demo list since 2014, and they still standing. That's 10 years. You mean to tell me all these educated people down here, we cannot find a solution to this problem? At least we can give these kids some hope, because every time they call me or talk to me, do you have a job for me? That's all they want to do is work. They don't want, it's like, bro, I don't want to grab this sword, but I got to. Man, they like, I don't want a big bro, I don't want it, man. I'm like, they call me, I got that, say, you know what, I'm going to tell you this. Y'all can take this. When they call, I tell them I have a job. You know what they tell me? Just look at the news. That's the first thing they tell me. Just watch the news. And they serious, because I watch the news. The first thing you hear, I say, oh man, I couldn't save them. I can't save all of them, but we can save some of them. So I really appreciate if you guys help us with this problem, because we can, we can most definitely solve some of it. Some of it. Come on now, who all sign? I'm looking for signatures. I need 26 signatures to give to the mayor so we can force Corporation Council. I can't wait to talk to Corp Council and the budget meeting, Department of Law. This is a very big problem. But I want to say thank you to Jason Irvin, thank you to the Housing Department, because they allow us to start building on Madison and Hamlin, a small African-American company to build. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you very much for your comments. Our next speaker is Mr. Cruz.
Thank you, City Council. Thank you, Mayor.
Morning.
Today I stand here as a concerned citizen to speak out against the leadership of Mayor Brandon Johnson, a leader whose actions and affiliations are doing a disservice to our once great city. But before I do so, I'd like to thank Alderman Brendan Riley and Raymond Lopez and the other common sense aldermen for holding firm on no property tax hikes and for their proposed headcount reductions. While the end of the budgetary cycle is near, we are just getting started in order to save our city, which is in financial crisis. Under the current mayor's administration, we've seen a disturbing trend. A mayor more concerned with pandering to special interest groups and non-taxpayers than with making the tough, necessary decisions to move the city forward. Mayor Johnson's leadership can be defined by demagoguery, fueled by progressive rhetoric and driven by a divisive agenda that plays to the lowest common denominator rather than striving for unity, fiscal responsibility, or the common good. We do not need progressive revenue initiatives. We have an addiction to spending, and it must be fixed immediately. It's no secret that Brandon Johnson's ties to the CTU run deep. His political career from the start has been propped up by union support, and now as mayor, it's clear that those ties come with a hefty price tag and put the CTU's interests above those of our children and taxpayers. The CTU, with its unwavering influence over local politics, has contributed to our insolvency. The president of the CTU recently tweeted, "We will put a force field around our children." This is lunacy and the definition of demagoguery. The CTS, for a couple of stats here, the CTS budget in 2010 was $5.3 billion, roughly $13,000 per student to educate. In the 2025 budget, the budget for CPS is $10 billion, or $31,000 per student. When is enough enough? That's the cost to go to the University of Illinois. The annual salaries of CPS employees have skyrocketed by over $800 million since 2019, all of which was funded by federal COVID funds, which are all now depleted and no longer coming. What's more troubling is the mayor's blatant disregard to address the rising costs of living, worsening infrastructure, and mounting public debt. His proposal to raise property taxes was egregious and was lost by 50-0 vote. He and his supporters refused to give in on the sanctuary status when we've spent over $600 million on migrants this year, while Chicago is basically insolvent. Argentina's new president, Javier Milei, took over an economy in 2023 with triple-digit inflation, massive deficits, and widespread poverty, and he turned their economy around in less than 1 year. How did he do so? He cut over $20 billion from government spending while eliminating departments and layoffs, and as a result, inflation has collapsed to 3% from over 200%, and GDP growth has reached 16% in the latest quarter with a budget surplus. Chicago deserves better. We need leadership that puts our city's future above partisan interests and won't be held hostage to union interests. The current mayor won the 2023 election by 26,000 votes on 30% voter turnout. We need a mayor who will stand up to the special interests and focus on the
Thank you very much for your comments. However, your time has expired. Our next speaker is David Mason.
Yeah, you remember me, Brandon Johnson, from the PBC meeting, and you know I'm standing on business. Here you are with another gritty property tax hike, trying to push the have-nots to house your precious illegal immigrants. You told Trump you ain't gonna blink? Well, we ain't either. You ain't above the law, and where you gonna run to when Trump pours that Trump card out on you? I will make it my duty to try to get my gun to perform an Operation Grey Lord 2.0 in Chicago and lock all of you crooked Democrats and judges up. And it's just like that.
Thank you very much for your comments. Your Honor, there are no further speakers
Very
who have
well,
time to
this
sign up for
concludes the public comment period. We don't have any resolutions. Next up, communications. Will have to be specified, but it is relegated to the budget. And again, each speaker will have 2 minutes, and we have so far a total of 25 speakers thus far, at least. Very well. The first speaker, Mr. Cruz.
Thank you. I don't really have a ton to say other than I once used to be proud to call myself a Chicagoan, and I was recently, and now everyone's going to get up and walk away, which is fine. But we have an addiction to spending, and progressive revenue initiatives will not grow our way out of this issue. The progressive revenue tactics will fail until the necessary headcount reductions and budget cuts are made, including do not lower the speed limits to try to trap individuals and citizens for driving 30 miles an hour when the speed limit's 25 or whatever the proposal is. That will not work, and that will only lead to increased traffic and continue to annoy citizens. Chicago Metropolitan Water Reclamation District has a $1.6 billion budget. $500 million of this is paid from Chicago property taxes. I'm sure there's some savings there. We have an egregiously complex and rigid form of local government. We have 20 Cook County commissioners. Now we have 21 new Chicago Board of Education members. We obviously have the 50 city council members, which we thank you, the vast majority of you. Again, progressive revenue policies will only fail and continue to exacerbate the city's financial woes. I was recently in Nashville with my wife 2 weeks ago, and I just randomly met 4 people who had moved from Chicago to Tennessee because of the tax burden. A number of my friends, they moved to Colorado, they moved to Nashville, they moved to Texas. We don't want to move, but there's really no alternative. If we're just going to continue to raise taxes, people are not going to want to move here, or people are not going to want to stay here, okay? The only way to get out of this budget crisis and insolvency is to increase the population and keep people here, encourage people to want to move here, encourage businesses to want to hire here, okay? Raising taxes, it does the exact opposite of that. Lastly, just please do not reduce the speed limits. That is insane. We need, if anything, we should be increasing the speed limits. The traffic is a nightmare. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to repeat again, if there are any individuals in the audience that require ASL, please let us know. Are there any members in the audience that need sign interpreters? Very well. The next speaker is Conway. Tiara Conway. All right, we'll hold off then. Tiara Conway is not here. The next speaker is David Mason. David Mason. Okay, the next speaker, Jessica Jackson.
So, Jesse Fuentes, you wasn't here. So, real quickly, when you acting like you don't hear me, but you'll see yourself on Friday on Zoe Lee's channel, and we're going to make you famous, and you're going to keep acting like you don't hear me. Now, as it pertains to the budget, what I'm trying to figure out is this. How are my property taxes getting increased when you keep instructing your people to not settle my case? So you got the public administrators who are intentionally depriving me of my income because they're telling those tenants to squat on me for free for 2 years. But yet and still, I'm getting property tax increases. And if I don't pay the property taxes by December 10th, they got the audacity to say they're going to put my property at a tax sale. While you all are sitting there letting these people squat on me for 2 years. But yet, my property tax bill is $300 more than it was last quarter. Now, you make that make sense. And you tell me why you should be able to stay in that position and why anybody should be able to stay in these seats. You all know what they are doing. You know what they're doing. And y'all gonna sit here and let them come after my property while y'all let some squatters per the public administration office sit in my building. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. You're supposed to be a civil rights attorney. What is it that Conway supposed to be a prosecutor? And he ain't bothering them white judges at all. But he walk around here all smug, thinking he better than y'all because he born rich. All y'all need to be embarrassed. I hope you pray to God that whatever y'all family leave for y'all, I hope it burns to the ground.
Next speaker is George Blakemore.
Pertaining to the budget. Every household, you make so much money and you have priorities of what you're going to spend your money on. Now, one department that's notorious is notorious water department. The notorious water department, very racist. And if you don't pay your water bill, did you know they can put a lien on your property and take it? The most notorious water department, the notorious police department, the notorious police department. Now, I spoke here and been spitting in this mic, and I made a statement. Have you ever seen a black policeman pull his gun out and shoot a white man, a white woman, a white boy, or a white girl? In the United States of America, that doesn't happen. But constantly you see white policemen say they serve and protect, killing black people while walking, in their homes. So evidently these black policemen know their place. And these white policemen seem like they don't have a place. The notorious police department. Let's go to the notorious fire department. Only 16% of the firemen are black. The notorious racism. The worst city in the United States, the most corrupt, is the city of Chicago. Well, why would you say this? Because how many of those so-called leaders have been indicted? Have been indicted? And they keep on keeping on. So it's racism is alive here. Go back to that police department again, Mr. Blakemore. The fraternal order of the police.
Thank you, Mr. Blakemore. The next speaker, Danielle Carter.
Okay, so I got a great way how we can what we can do with this budget. First, let's start with cutting off illegals, getting free everything. Free housing, free schooling, free food. Yeah, let's start with that. That'll save us a lot of money. What, $600 million? Let's start there. Then let's start with your salary. You are going down in history as the worst mayor in America. Let's start with cutting yours. You making too much money. Let's start there. And now let's start with the police detail you had, the 200 police detail you had. Let's start with that. Because you Democrats, and you remember you told us to defund the police. Remember, you ran on that. Remember, you was the defund the police. Let's start with that. Let's defund the police detail that you have. And let's put the police back in our neighborhood, because we're not for defunding the police. We need the police. So let's start with all the Democrats, because y'all policy, what y'all push in our neighborhood, defund the police. So all y'all that got police details and got police presence around y'all house, let's start with cutting that. That'll save a lot of money. So won't you just practice what you preach? Remove all the details. We saw you coming in today. You had all the police presence. So let's take some of that away. And then let's start with and I'm asking you all, and I'm telling you all, aldermen, whatever property tax hike he's proposing, or whatever taxes he's proposing on the Chicago citizens, I'm letting y'all know for real. And now, if you all vote on anything to raise all taxes or anything, because we already suffering homeowners, you all will not be in those seats.
Thank you. The next speaker is Howard Ray.
Yes, I'm back. Since people are not speaking, a lot of people are not speaking, can we raise it back up to 3 minutes? But here's the deal. To the aldermans and the citizens and the council, I'm going to talk about the People Fund again. Basically what the People Fund is, it's a special tax for the citizens of Chicago. And what we're asking is for all sale transactions and uses that occurs, we want 6 cents, CENTS, attached to those sale transactions. We estimate that there's 6 trillion transactions in a half a year that occurs in Cook County. So you take 6 trillion times 6 cents, you get $360 billion. That's $700-something billion a year. But that tax is solely for the citizens of Chicago. That tax will pay our property taxes. It will also fund public safety. It will also do a lot of other things for our community, because each community, including the suburbs, because this is a Cook County and Chicago, that's why I asked to also include Tony Preckman. Every community would be able to get $1 billion per community, and the directors of that fund would be non-elected officials, but they would have to go through the elected officials in time. That's a whole nother subject. But what we want to do is have that special tax. You guys can keep your 10.25, but really you guys here in Chicago is 1.25%. You guys keep that. Just add that 6 cents. We're willing to negotiate with you guys. Maybe you can give 3 cents and the citizens give 3 cents to make up 6 cents. This is what we want. That way everybody be satisfied. You guys can raise all what y'all want to raise for what you need to do, but give us our 6 cents on every transaction that occurs in Cook County.
Thank you. The next speaker is Zoe Lee.
Let's go, Zoe.
I see that you now are floating around a 60 million property tax hike. Ain't no taxes gonna be hiked until it shouldn't be at all, but you need to settle my family's case. Like the city of Chicago, the local government, the state of Illinois, has violated the 5th Amendment, the 14th Amendment, the U.S. Constitution. Y'all take an oath. The government owes my family for eminent domain. Y'all sit here and ignore this. The government owes my mother, as a single black daughter raised by a single black mother who gave me what I needed to be down here. That's why I'm not scared. I know the Constitution. I know the federal laws. I said last year, I said, this is December 13th. I said, for the last 60 days, I've sent an email to the Chicago Inspector General requesting that they look into the accounting of the $640 million. The key players in the illegal immigration scheme are Carlos Ramirez Rosa, Rosana Rodriguez Sanchez, Michael Rodriguez, Andre Vasquez, Beatrice Ponce de Leon. As far as making Chicago great again, the black Democratic leadership in Congress showed that they have no black agenda. That's why they have allowed all this money to go to everyone but the black Americans for decades. The only way the Democrats should be voted back in is find and secure the black agenda, pass the debt, pay the debt America owes us, apologize to black Americans and say they won't try this S again, and as far as locally, flip Illinois red on principle.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. The next speaker is Jasmine Smith. Jasmine Smith. Very well. The next speaker is John Morrison.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, you ran on being better, and I believed in you. So much so that I organized for you, I canvassed for you, and I fundraised for you. And when you won, Chicagoans entrusted you and this council to build a better, stronger, safer Chicago. You promised to build bridges instead of raising them. But over the last year, you've proposed spending taxpayer money on a stadium we don't want, a massive payday loan for CPS, and in a year with record police settlement costs, you shamefully proposed further deferring the implementation of the consent decree for our police force. And for the rest of us, property taxes and service cuts. I fear you've lost the plot, Mr. Mayor. If I wanted this kind of financial mismanagement, I would have voted for that guy from Palos Heights. The Plow the Sidewalks pilot was one of the few progressive legislative accomplishments. This pilot estimated to cost slightly more than $1 million, but yet it's nowhere to be found in your current $17.3 billion draft budget. That $1 million pilot represents an investment in our people and a benefit by clearing our sidewalks. We can empower the elderly and disabled members of our community to live fuller and safer lives, while potentially spurring economic activity, increasing transit ridership when we do desperately need it, and reducing unnecessary injuries. It's an investment in a better, stronger, safer Chicago that you ran on, sir. But here you are, walking away from that investment. It's not too late, Mr. Mayor. I want to believe in you. I want you to prove me right. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker, Joanne Johnson.
Brandon Johnson, you wasn't in office when this happened. We purchased insurance on our property. They came out to rebuild after a fire. They demolished the property, turned around, they put a roof up, they framed it, and they walked away. It was in zoning. Zoning was supposed to overlook this property. Building, zoning, Dan, that's in the building office. And they told them to build that property the way I wanted it to be built. The insurance money walked away. I got signatures, I got documents of everybody that's involved in this project. And Nation Land Adjusters, they were supposed to build it up, but they walked away from it. So now it's just a dump. It's abandoned. We did everything we were supposed to do. We paid our insurance, and they took our insurance money. And why? The zoning department was supposed to overlook the project, and they didn't. I went into court. They told me to get a lawyer. My lawyer tell me, you dealing with the city of Chicago, you're fucked. We did everything we were supposed to do. We did everything we were supposed to do. And they turned around and walked away with $300-something.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Dennis White.
Brandon Johnson, the good news is we got 48 days before Trump take that oath. In January, ICE gonna come in and get rid of the illegal immigrants. Here's the thing. In order for us to get these taxes, we gotta get rid of these illegals. So this was gonna happen to you. You got Cash Patel and Pam Bundy that you're gonna have to deal with sooner than later. Then it's going to be an audit. Next, it's going to be an investigation. Then it's going to be an indictment.
Well, that's how you do it. Oh, I like that. Oh, my God. I like that. That's bad.
Conviction. That's what's going to happen to you.
Oh, my God. They can give him applause.
Now, guess what? I just cooked them under 2 minutes.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Vashan Tunkel.
Good morning to the people of Chicago. I just want to say, Mr. Brandon Johnson, I'm up here. I am speaking right now, so I would love your undivided attention, please. I'll wait. So this just proves to you the lack of leadership that you show in this city. You can't even give me straight eye contact. Now, I'm going to let you know now, the people of Chicago, we're done with you. I'm a young black man here in Chicago, Illinois, and I'm here to tell you that I've seen what the Democratic Party have done to my people, specifically black people. Now, it is insane how we have been voting Democrat for over 60 plus years, and we've never seen a change from people like you, Lori Lightfoot, Rob Emanuel. It is insane. Now, when it comes to the budget, why would you want to get rid of Shot Spotters, which is a $36 to $49 million investment in communities that are basically suffering from gun violence? I support Blue Troops. I support the police. They protect us. And you want to defund the police, you and the Democrats. Now, I know you guys see my Trump hat. You know that Chicago is flipping red. Chicago was 37% red. In 2020, it was only 15%. So we're waking up. So you can pretend that this isn't happening, but I know for a fact that you will not have that seat the next election. And at this point, Brandon Johnson, you can race bait all you want. You guys can sit up here and call me an Uncle Tom because I got my Trump hat on. But here's the thing. If you guys never read Uncle Tom, he died not telling on 2 runaway slaves. But you know who will sell you out in a minute? This guy right here. So you can call me an Uncle Tom all you want, but one thing you can't call me is a damn Democrat.
Well, that's how you do it.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Scarlett Johnson. Scarlett Johnson. Very well. Our next speaker, Robert Castle Jr. Robert Castle Jr.
Good morning, Mayor.
Good morning.
My name is Robert Castile Jr. So after years of being incarcerated and having my voice snatched, I'm finally able to speak. So even being inside of cells and things and trying to write about things and certain stuff and having things being denied and mail tampered with and not be able to do that, I'm here to be able to speak about different things that happens in the city and contributes to different subjects and negative effects that turn out in the city. For instance, education. I truly believe in education. I believe in the children. I believe they are the future. We need them to survive and to thrive and to grow forward. With the closing of schools and just not funding the education or the teachers that are needed to teach them to grow, to be fruitful, to produce for our society, to make us better. I most definitely do not agree with that. They need to be funded. They need to be given what they need to protect and allow the children to grow. When you have a classroom that's overcrowded, you have children that are not being paid attention to and some that can't receive that attention and that support or that certain manner or method that they need in order to be nourished mentally. So when that happens, some of them become disruptive. And when they become disruptive, they can't receive the education so that they can grow and do what they need to do. When you don't receive the proper education and it comes time to fill out job applications or whatever it may be, or higher education or whatever it may be, then you're just not able to. which leads you down a certain path where when schools are closed and everything else, the block is never closed. The hood is never closed. You can always go out on those corners. There's always somebody there ready to teach you the street trade. So when they learn these trades, it's with them. Even inside of that, that's why I support the education of the students and not having crowded classrooms. When it comes to...
Thank you. Next speaker, Ms. P. Ray Eastley.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening to the City of Chicago, to the City Council, to the Mayor, to my aldermen of the great 37th Ward, and to all the West Siders in the building. First things first, I had a whole different thing, but I want to say this very quickly. I am a Negro woman. My mother and my father are Negro people. My grandmother is a Negro woman. Their birth certificates out of Cook County, their original ones say Negro. It was printed on the Cook County birth certificates before 1975. Please respect the label and our American ethnicity. We don't have problems identifying anybody else. We will not play about the Negro. But I came here to say this. Typically, I'm here and I'm fussing. I want to say thank you to the City Council. I want to say thank y'all for voting down that $300 million. Thank you for saving us $300 million. Thank you for saying no to $150 million. And we want y'all to say no to the $60 million. You all did not get enough hand claps, enough support, enough love. Know that the whole country was clapping and proud of the work of this City Council because our mayor is embarrassing us, y'all, around the world. And you all took the power back from him to say the City of Chicago is out of the business of funding illegals. We are out of the business of prioritizing non-American citizens on top of the American citizens who go out in this cold weather every day to make money to pay their taxes. So I want to encourage you guys to please stay America first. Please continue to make our city look like the great city that it is because we are great people with good sense. One thing that Chicago people know very well is how to spot a scam. And the scam has been exposed. You cannot bully Chicago people because this is a city of bullies and bully slayers. So today, I encourage you guys to help us slay the bully. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Alex Nelson.
Hi. Hi, Mayor Johnson. Thank you, folks, for taking the time to hear our comments today. I'm Alex Nelson. I'm the strategy advisor for Better Street Chicago. Some of you folks have met me before, many of you have not, but I think a lot of you have heard the campaign I've been managing for the past couple years now, Plow the Sidewalks. We are seeking to make sidewalk, snow, and ice removal a universal municipal service here in the city of Chicago. It would make us a trailblazer and a leader in our infrastructure. For the past year and a half, Mr. Mayor, we've been working with various city officials, including Commissioner Cole Stollard from Department of Streets and Sanitation, Commissioner Tom Carney from Chicago Department of Transportation, as well as other numerous officials, both from aldermanic offices, from your department, from your administration, and city advocates and organizers who come here either on their free time or as in my case, take PTO days. And we've been doing it and developing this pilot because we believe in it, because we understand that sidewalks are the most universal and accessible infrastructure that this city has. Every single person in this room, regardless of their political allegiance, regardless of whether they're an elected official, a journalist, an organizer, just a constituent here with concerns, every single person uses the sidewalks. And so when we make sure to prioritize the most accessible and tangible infrastructure that every person in the city has access to, it shows who we care about. It shows that we care about the elderly, the disabled, folks with children, folks without access to cars. You campaigned on Plow the Sidewalks. We've been working and developing this pilot. We're incredibly proud of it. And so I'm going to ask you to see it through and make sure that you include the $1 million budget line for the pilot in this upcoming budget season. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Kyle Lucas.
Greetings, City Council, Mayor Johnson. My name is Kyle Lucas. I'm the Executive Director of Better Street Chicago. And I want to read a statement on behalf of some of the organizations that were part of the working group for the Plow the Sidewalks pilot program. In May, the City of Chicago released the Plow the Sidewalks pilot program recommendations report outlining a year's worth of work by advocates alongside the city to develop a feasible pilot program for municipal sidewalk snow and ice removal. This was a profound step forward in the years-long Plow the Sidewalks campaign, but providing a clear roadmap and outline for the city to begin the steps of implementation. Unfortunately, since then, the city has missed key deadlines for implementation and has failed to provide the necessary funding in the Chicago Department of Transportation's budget to move the pilot forward. While the city faces significant challenges, eliminating this pilot program does not meaningfully address those challenges. Instead, it perpetuates the continued neglect of the needs of people with disabilities, seniors, parents with children, and beyond to participate in society when it snows. This means Chicagoans will continue to be unable to run errands, go to the doctor, buy groceries, and otherwise participate in our economy and in their communities, oftentimes left trapped at home for days until the snow clears or melts. A budget is a statement of values, and by continuing to delay implementation, the city is sending a message that it sees the status quo as acceptable. We find the status quo as wholly unacceptable. We are not the first to do this, and we know that this is possible, and we are not asking for the sky. We are asking for a small pilot program to study this and to show what happens. Advocates are here. We are willing to work with you if you will come to the table with us to identify the solutions to make this happen. But we must make it clear, the time to fund Plow the Sidewalks is now. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Kimberly Saunders.
Y'all ain't gonna clap for me. Good afternoon, Mayor Brandon
Good
and all
afternoon.
the constituents. My name is Kimberly Saunders. I am a developer, Treasure Service, Inc. I purchase property with my money, nobody else's money. I rehab it with my money. Wintrust has granted me a $10 million line of credit because I do a lot of business with them. My godfather took me there, the Italians, and they granted me this credit about a week ago. I'm asking you to do a pilot program where I want to, as I told you, I'm tired of the Inglewood South Side looking like the projects. When you go over to Lincoln Park, these situations should be equal right now. You have nothing to do with this, Brandon. You remember me, I sued CHA and won with the PPP. I asked you to help me then, and you see the federal government won with me. So I think you need to know I got the feds and everybody like messing with me. So I'm asking if I could do a program where they're gonna give me the money to build. I have a couple of other black men that's developing in the city using their money, and we are willing to do some of these projects, fund them, and then we get a pilot, and we're gonna leave equity in there because we're not gonna charge them the full market price. So if we did something like that, that could bridge the gap of generational wealth, all of this that's going on. You just need to talk to people like me and stop being in the in crowd, because I'm not in the in crowd, and I'm the deputy of the 27th Ward, which I was appointed by the Republican Party because they asked me to run against Burnett. I didn't want to run. I don't want to do y'all job. You don't make enough money. But I want to help the community because I'm tired of my side. Well, I don't even live over there. I'm in the 27 over there, whatever. I'm a part of Chicago, South and West Side, but I grew up in Bronzeville. And again, I told you my grandmother worked for President. My grandfather worked for President Kennedy. My grandmother worked for Harold Washington. Again, I have the lineage, the paperwork, the background, and the name that could take the take. But I like to deal with the drug dealers, the hustlers, the crackheads, the misfits, and I help them. So it's like y'all don't mess with me because my kids got put out of British because of one of y'all. Then went and told them people. So thank y'all.
Thank you. Thank you. Our next speaker is Giovanna Alvarez.
Good afternoon, Mayor. Good
afternoon.
afternoon, City Council. Good afternoon, Chicago residents. My name is Giovanna Alvarez. I'm an immigrant, first generation, and I was very lucky to have an education here in the United States and became a very productive citizen. Nowadays, I am very, very concerned on what's happening on the city. I understand the budget is the bottom line of the concerns that we have, but I can also see a lot of miscommunication, a lot of dysfunctioning. How can we how can we prepare a budget? How can we become effective if we cannot communicate with each other? There's a lot of sensitivity, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of anger. So Mayor, I would like to ask you to please consider everyone within the budget. Like I said, I'm an immigrant. I came to the United States legally. I was very fortunate to do that. I have never been a delinquent, and I am very, very embarrassed for what my other fellow Latin American citizens are doing in the city. On behalf of the people that work, on behalf of the people that pay taxes, on behalf of the people that contribute to the city, I like to make clear that not everyone is the same. These people came with a wide door open, and they feel entitled to many things that nobody has. There are U.S. citizens suffering from poverty. There are U.S. citizens on public aid, and these people are here just enjoying the benefits, becoming delinquents, and they have no consequences. Same thing with the youth in Chicago. You talk a lot about the youth. Well, let me tell you, I have a daughter who is a university student. She's doing her 3rd degree. She was at the Christmas celebration 2 or 3 weeks ago, and she had the most horrible experience ever. I really thought I was going to lose my daughter out of that experience. What are we doing? Where's my money going? I'm a contributor to the city. I'm a productive person. I want you to do the same, and please
Thank
lead
you
by
very
example.
much. Thank you. Does anyone else wish to speak on the proposed executive budget? If there aren't any others that wish to speak on the proposed executive budget, the time is now 12:20. This does conclude our public hearing on the proposed executive budget. The chair recognizes Chairman Irvin.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move we return back to the regular order of
On the
business.
motion to return to the regular order of business, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed, say no. The motion passes. On the motion to adjourn, the chair recognizes,